Hey guys, welcome back to Ink. Being authentic is hard. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I care so much about what other people think that staying true to who I actually am is really difficult. Today I have in conversation with me my friend John, who's incredibly good at being authentic and true to himself. He's an incredible guitarist. He's funny, he's outgoing, and he's great to be around. John's a young guy, but he's super successful, having been on some incredible tours with the likes of Disciple, Under Oath, Breaking Benjamin, and Evanescence. He's toured America and Europe, and most importantly, he's toured with my band, Paradise Now. Today we talk about confidence, hard work, and authenticity. Enjoy the conversation.
All right, how's it going? Welcome to today's episode from Ink. We've all had one of those days where you feel like you don't matter, everything's going wrong, and no one is there to listen or relate. But here at Ink, you do matter, and here we can relate. Because for all of us, there's always a something, a one thing, or many things that can really affect the way we think and feel. We hope that today's conversation brings a little bit of hope to your day. And do make sure to stay connected by subscribing to the channel.
John, how's it going, mate?
It's great, Nathan. How are you, buddy?
Good, thanks, man. I think the last time we were together, we were in a different type of quarantine on a tour bus.
Yeah, so much.
How's life over there in Nashville right now?
It's good. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting couple of months. So I live in East Nashville, and East Nashville got hit pretty good by a tornado at the beginning of March. And my apartment complex is fine, and you could walk outside and not notice anything is amiss, but you walk 100 yards down the street and it's not great. So that, on top of quarantine and COVID-19 and all that stuff, has been it's been an interesting time. But all things considered, feeling very blessed and fortunate. So.
Good, man. Well, I'm glad to have you on today. Thank you for joining. And when I was prepping for this, I was like, what do I want people to kind of know about John Panzer? And I want them to know the things that I love about you. And the two things, well, there's three things, and I'll get to the third in a little bit, but the two things that come right to mind immediately when I think about you is, one, you're a super confident individual, but not in a bad way, in a good way, and I want to touch on that as well. But you're super confident, and you're, in my eyes, super successful for such a young guy. What's the journey been like to get you to that point of the success that you're at today in playing music?
Well, maybe I'll touch first on the confidence aspect, if that's something you want to address now or later.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Okay, so the confidence thing, it's interesting for me, and I have even sometimes a hard time articulating where it actually comes from. So I like making people laugh. I love making people laugh. So I think it's confidence disguised as wanting to make people laugh. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a character. Not that that's not who I am. I do feel confident. I'm also riddled with insecurity. Do you know what I mean? But my want to make people laugh outweighs the insecurities. So, it helps me to come across, pretty confident. And then on the musical side, it's like I put in 13 years of my life playing guitar. So I just kind of did things over and over and over again until that I felt like I knew I was good. Do you know what I mean? And that can come across as arrogant. I don't want it to come across as arrogant. I want people to know that it's okay to know that you're good at something. It's okay to know that, accept that your gift is your thing. And if you put in the work, be good one day. And it's, so that's why I feel like I'm a good guitar player. And I feel like I'm a good performer because I've taken the time and really put in the effort to get to that point. And as far as my journey musically goes, it's all really strange and bizarre. Do you want me to start kind of from the beginning of how I got started and touch on
Yeah,
that?
I guess like hit on, for a kid watching this or someone starting out a journey, whether it's a fitness goal or, a work goal, whatever it may be, someone starting out that journey, what it was like for you, starting out day one with all that time in between. You got the goal of wanting to be on stage. And as time goes by, that confidence is growing. What was that journey like for you? How did you kind of start that out, and what did it feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it started with kind of what I touched on, like putting the time in. For my generation, for our generation, and younger, it is very easy to try something and not be good at it right away and put it down.
Yeah.
It is important to try different things, taste new things, see what really sets you on fire in a way. For me, after I learned my first song on guitar, I'm like, all right, cool. I think I might be able to do this. And I had already had dreams of touring and playing live before I even picked up. That's what made me pick up the guitar. It's seeing, these people performing on stage and just being blown away. I'm like, what a job, that would be. But I think it's important to realize that you got to be in it for the long haul. You have to. I'm 25, and I'm not where I want to be. You know what I mean? I'm not at a place where I'm like, I feel like I've made it in any way. But I do make a living playing music, and that's all I could ask for, to be honest. But I think it's patience. People have got to be more patient. It might not take a year. It might not take 2 years. It might take 5 years, 8 years of really honing your craft and being a good person, putting yourself out there. And maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. The music business is so hard and it's hard to get into, but like persistence and hard work, honestly, as cheesy and cliche as that might sound, it is putting in the work when nobody's watching. And it is getting to the point where you build confidence in yourself. Because if you go into an audition or you're talking to somebody and you don't have confidence in your own ability, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard sell. So,
yeah, I'm sure there's people listening that are like me, and I'm like, I hear that and I'm like, oh, but I didn't want to put the hard work in.
Right.
So yeah. I've just started doing a little bit of CrossFit, and I'm like, right, I want to do, these big overhead lifts now. And my body's like, hey bro, you can't do that. Or like the first time I strapped myself to a snowboard, I was like, I want to be Shaun White today. Or first time I surf, I want to be Kelly Slater today. And it's about that consistency. And that's something I've really seen in you is you've done this, like you've been consistent and persistent for a long time. And maybe for someone listening today, we could touch on a previous conversation we've had on time. Like, is it actually a long time when you start out as a kid? Or even I started playing drums at 19, 20, and I'm able to be a full-time musician at the age of 28. Like, let's talk about that, like that time frame and the mindset of looking at that time frame.
Sure. Yeah. So it's easy to feel rushed, I think, in life. Like you hear so many people talk about, oh, life it's gone in an instant. You know what I mean? And while I think time does fly and can fly, think about when you were 10 years old. How long ago does that feel like a long time ago? 18 years ago?
Feels like a little ways away.
That feels like a ways away. And guess what? You're not even 30 yet. You're still so young. And so it's like, I think that's important to realize is that yes, time does fly. But if you're thinking about what you want to do, if you're on the fence about you know, picking up an instrument or learning a language or learning to cook or whatever you kind of are drawn to, time is going to pass anyway. You might as well spend that time learning about something that you love. And that's kind of step number 2. You got to find what you love first. And I think it's important to like taste as many things as you can. And by that, I mean, try new things, try playing an instrument, try cooking, try whatever it is. I think it's important to give it a good try before you realize it's not for you. But I've been playing guitar for 13 years, and in some ways time has flown, and in other ways I think about when I was 13 and picking up the guitar, I'm like, gosh, that actually feels like another lifetime. Like it feels just like ages and ages ago. And so I think it's important to remember that you can put in a lot of time. You can put in 10 years of time and still be just so young. Like there's a 16-year-old watching this. In 10 years, you're going to be 26. And guess what? 26 is still insanely young. Yeah. So it's important to realize that everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey looks different. People start things at different ages. My parents started a business when my dad was 47 years old. Wow. Started a business at 47 years old. And it took a long time to make it successful. A long time. And now my dad is 60 and my parents have a successful company. So it's people get caught up in age is what I'm trying to say. And forgive me because I will get lost in my own rabbit hole of conversation. So
no, it's good. It's good. Do you know what? It's my biggest anxiety. Like I rock up at a show, particularly a festival, and I'm like, I look around, drummers are so much more accomplished than I am. Every conversation I have is, yeah, I've been doing this for years. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I put on this, sometimes it comes out in bravado. Sometimes it comes up in just talking myself down so that they know I'm not going to be as good as them. And, I think in everybody else's walk of life is so applicable that like we put ourselves down in front of colleagues and co-workers, or we're always the brunt of the joke and we put ourselves there in front of our friends.
Oh yeah.
However that might come out, I think the important thing is to realize we're kind of all on a journey. And when you walk in the gym the first time, everybody's had to walk in that gym for the first time. Everybody.
No question.
We all had to start somewhere. And something that I shared with you in another conversation was, anytime I get anxiety about like, oh my gosh, I'm almost 30 and I wanted to be, I wanted to own the tour bus, not be a roadie on the tour bus. I wanted to be the band. I want to be a #1 hit, blah, blah, blah. I'm always like, but Jared Leto, I think, started 30 Seconds to Mars when he was like, I don't know how old, a lot older than I am.
Well, maybe he started it way young, but it took years of doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or maybe doing things behind the scenes that nobody knows, playing crappy club shows that that where 10 people maybe were there. It's not like that for everybody, but it's like that for most people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, it is what it is, especially if you want to do something outside of the norm. Do you know what I mean? Like outside of going to Berkeley, what do musicians have in terms of credibility? Not much. There's a million great guitar players, and there are, to touch on what you were saying about feeling inferior to colleagues, it's all the time. And probably those people that you feel inferior to, that there's a bunch of people that they feel that when they're around, that they're inferior.
Yeah.
And I think it's about trying to put blinders on in a way, taking inspiration from people, no question, take inspiration from people, but kind of not looking to the left or to the right or to who might be better than you are, but just kind of realizing that you have what you have. And you can either be insecure about it and not do anything about it and stay insecure, or you can start the journey to become what you want to be. And maybe you won't reach it, but you're moving forward. It's important to just move forward. I think as musicians, we're so critical and we'll never quite be where we want to be, but it's important to just not stay complacent, because that breeds insecurity. You know what I mean? When you get around colleagues, it's like, I just don't feel quite good enough. No, you just put in the work. You keep your head down. You do what you do, because there's probably a whole plethora of gifts that you have that that person might not have. So while they may be a better drummer than you are, they might not have the business mind that you have, or something that might help you along. I don't know. I just think everybody has different gifts, but it's so, if there's a gift in common with another person, it's so easy to compare, and comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, no, 100%. I remember being on the first tour that you and I were on together, and turning to Joey, the drummer Disciple, and just being like, in my head, all I wanted to say was, bro, it makes me so anxious to play drums in front of you because you are so good.
Yeah,
and we somehow got on to that topic, and he was like, I'm so anxious to play drums on the next tour because the drummer's amazing. I'm like, how are you anxious to play drums? And so what you said is absolutely right. You know, no matter what walk we're going through in life, we're constantly looking at others as like the goals, and they're constantly looking at someone else as the goal. And there's always that guy or girl higher up the food chain that we're looking to. So,
well, yeah, there's always going to be somebody better than you are. There's always going to be somebody that makes more money. There's always going to be somebody that has looks that you want, or whatever it is. And it's just, we're all on that journey of trying to be content with what we have. I think that a practical way to do that is to just look at what's in front of us. What gifts do we have? What level are we at? And how can we further it?
Yeah.
That's the only way to become better, is to put in the work. And it can be daunting, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because like for me, since I started playing with Disciple, I feel like I've grown as a person and as a musician. And it's kind of, I came to the realization in October, that first tour that we did, it's like, okay, I can be insecure about my playing, and I can be insecure about like the way my body looks, or I can do something about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn something new about music theory or the guitar. I wanted to learn something new every day, as much as I could. And I wanted to start working out and changing my lifestyle in that way. I don't now, 6 months, has gone by, 7 months, and I don't feel as insecure about my playing, and I don't feel as insecure about my body. And it's in 7 months. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is going to take work. So it's just, can't be afraid to get your hands dirty.
So good, man. You know, at the start, I said that you're a confident person, and I mean that 100%. But the cool thing I love about it is it doesn't come across as arrogance.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And we went for dinner right as we kind of were forced to stop touring because of the situation right now with the COVID-19. We went for dinner right before I flew back to London. And I remember on the way home from dinner being super like surprised in the conversation, because I view you, successful, confident, incredible guitar player, and you actually let us guys know that you wrestle with anxiety and depression, which was kind of came as a shock to me. Was really humbled that you opened up about that. Tell me a little bit about that. How you wrestle with that as a young guy.
So it started early, like really early. Anxiety was a big thing for me early on. Like I would not spend the night at a friend's house. I couldn't do it. I could not do a sleepover. I guess it would be separation anxiety from my parents. I just didn't want to be away from them. I was generally just a nervous person, and I still am in some ways, but I've grown a lot in that area. But Yeah, there was a time in middle school I did not want to go to school. You could not get me to go to school. I did not want to be separated from my parents. I didn't like school, and I wasn't even like bullied or anything necessarily, not in any way that would, prevent me from wanting to go to school.
Yeah.
Kids are kids. But, like I just, had terrible separation anxiety. And as I've grown, like it kind of comes and goes. And I would say most of my life was never about like crippling anxiety where it would keep me from doing things. But it was just always something that I suppressed. Just, I feel terribly anxious and I'm sweating about this, but I have to like try to get through it. So for me, like as I became an adult and I got married, it created a whole new level of anxiety, financial anxieties, career anxieties. Like, oh man, comparison was a big thing that fed my anxiety. It's like, oh man, well, this kid started touring when he was 16 and I'm 19 and I'm not doing what I want to do. And, all of those things were just terrible anxieties. Getting married at 20 and moving. I moved from Maryland to Wisconsin, making no money. My wife wasn't making very much money. And that was such a source of anxiety. Until eventually I had to just stop being anxious because nothing ever went wrong. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, maybe we don't have all the money in the world, but I've never not eaten. You know what I mean? And that's a simple thing, and it's cliche, and it's count your blessings type of thing. But it really is true. Like, and again, that's just a season of life. Like talking about kids in middle school or high school where they're in maybe a tough situation, that will end. So will anxiety, so will, financial issues and things like that. If you put in the work, I found that like, for me, my faith is in Jesus. And like, that's where the source of peace and I would even say determination comes from. And just not being complacent. I've had to really rely on God to get me through those moments because sometimes I don't feel like I have the strength to get past anxiety or insecurity or whatever the case is, but his grace is sufficient. And I have, it's not like that's completely in the past. I still deal with things on a daily basis, but it was just a moment of what I was saying, like just coming to the realization where, okay, well, I can either do this and have this result, or I don't do anything and things stay the same. And so like being anxious as an adult is different because you have all these responsibilities and you can't let anxiety get in the way of it. But it's sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. It's still early for me. Where's my coffee? I thought that what maybe looked like success would help my insecurities go away. It didn't.
No. It
amplified them, which is so backwards to me. And I really still don't even understand it. But, I played for a band called Fight the Fury. And that's the side project of John Cooper from Skillet and Seth from Skillet. And that to me was like a big moment. Like, wow, this is really like an amazing thing. Skillet is the reason I picked up the guitar, and now, I'm playing with the singer of Skillet. It's an interesting full circle thing. But I thought, I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of a cool thing for my career. And I expected just insecurities to go down and confidence to go up, and it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't. It only got worse. And I can't. I have a hard time putting my finger on it as to why. I just feel like I don't know if and it's not just with that. It's with everything. Like I play for 2 other bands, and it's getting into that point where you have to to kind of balance schedules and different things. It's just a whole new set of challenges. And while I'm grateful for all of that, I still have to rely on the Lord every day to, like, I need to remind myself who I am in Christ and not try to get caught up in, you know, all that other stuff, because the career stuff is still just providing me with insecurity. You know, I make a living doing it, which is amazing, but it creates its own set of challenges and things. So, you know, people think I know some people that they rely on God when they're struggling, and then they get to a certain point and they're like, oh, well, I'm good. And slowly, like, the reliance on Jesus changes maybe a little bit. That has not been the case for me. I feel like, you know, I need him more than ever because I'm, you know, a mess, but
No, it's so good. I remember when I was a kid, I was big into surfing, and I forget the guy's name, but he won Pipe Masters. It was his lifelong dream and ambition. And for those of you who don't know, Pipe Masters is like one of the biggest titles in surfing. He wins it, the crowd disappears, and he's there with his trophy, and he's like, that's it. Like, this is the lowest point I've ever been at, because it wasn't what I expected. And I think when you strip away the goals and the success element of life, you've got to have a firm foundation, and that foundation has to be rock solid. And for us, our foundation is our faith in Jesus. Yeah. And that is never moving, never shaking, rock solid. And we're able to stand on that, even, you know, highs and lows in the highlands and the valleys, we're able to stand on that, and it's going to always be firm. Oh, go ahead.
Well, just to back that up, like, you look at people that, you know, like, for me, I looked up to Chester Bennington.
Yeah, man.
Linkin Park was, you know, the first, Hybrid Theory was the first album I bought with my money, with my own money as a kid. Yeah. And they had such an impact on me musically. And it's interesting to see a lot of these people who are at the top of their fields, Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell. Yeah. There's countless others that I'm blanking on right now, but, you know, musically speaking, and they're killing themselves. And it's, my only thought on that is, wow, they reached the top of the mountain. Yeah. And it's still not good enough. And it's they cannot go any higher, and they're coming up empty. Everything that they've worked for all their lives, they get to that point, and it's just success, fame, money, women, drugs, whatever. They're coming up empty. It's not fulfilling them. Which, I mean, it's such a sad thing, but in a way it has really helped me to double down on what I believe. It's reinforced my faith. I'm like, wow, God, I need you, because I'm seeing all these people that are seemingly where I would like to be, and they're miserable. They're miserable enough to take their own life. And that, to me, is mind-blowing. And it comes down to what you were saying with not having the proper foundation, and not having something to look at beyond what they can buy, or, you know, what they can surround themselves with. It's not fulfilling, clearly.
Yeah, you know, just quickly looking at that, you know, in music, I feel like there's these highs, like really highs. Even if you're not that successful as a band, you can still jump on a tour and play in front of a few hundred or a few thousand people. Yeah. Experience that high, get off stage, and life is still life. Yeah. And I think, like, as a band, even more so as a solo artist, so isolated. Like, you look at, like, professional athletes, the coaching staff, the team that they have around them when they experience those highs are able to lift them up when life isn't all about winning and success. And I think like my big takeaway is if if you think the faith aspect of what we're talking about is a load of rubbish, then at least get a support network around you. Like at least get a team around you that can lift you up. And you know, I've isolated myself from friends and family when life's been hard, and at least have that network around you that can lift you up in times that are lower.
Man, it is everything. It's seriously is everything. Like you were saying, faith, even faith aside for a second, if you're not somebody who believes what we believe, it's like, yeah, just having some sort of foundation.
Yeah.
At the very least, like I know in my heart what the ultimate hope is, but if people don't believe the same thing I do, you know, at least having a support system, is just crucial. Having somebody that can encourage you is crucial. Friends, family, just somebody who can be there to kind of encourage. And encouragement's out there, even if it's not in your direct circle, you know, because some people don't have that. Some people don't have any support system or any. It's out there. If you are looking for it, there is hope. There is encouragement out there for you. And whatever situation you might be going through where you feel not supported or not encouraged, it will pass. It will pass, and life goes on. And the sucky situation you're in will not be the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's good. All right, last question, because it's one of my favorite things about you. And we'll wrap this up kind of quick, I guess. So we'll touch on this, and if we feel like there's more, maybe I'll have to have you back for another episode. But one of my favorite things about you, right? So for those of you watching this, bearing in mind we were on a sweaty rock tour with a bunch of dudes, but my friend John here loves perfume. By the end of the first tour, I think pretty much everyone had a new perfume, a new cologne, new aftershave, new something that was making the bus smell amazing. And it just makes me laugh because we're a bunch of guys on this rock tour, but you have a passion and conviction about something that you love that is totally left field, like out of the norm for someone in our world.
Sure.
How do you build that confidence and just like, screw it, I am who I am, I love what I love, this is me, like it or not? How do you build that confidence?
I just think the short answer would be, I think life is too short to not love what you love. And like, there's always, no matter what you like, whatever you enjoy, there's always going to be people that don't understand it. But I think it's just like, that's what is enjoyable about life. You just got to love what you love and kind of like be unashamed. Like I love perfume, and that for a man in the rock world, it, like you were saying, is not very common. And oh my gosh, I've been made fun of so many times about it, like, you know, in joke kind of thing. People kind of razz on me, if you will, but it just doesn't bother me. I don't know. I think it comes back to just finding out who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like realizing that I like what I like. I don't have any guilty pleasures for me. You know how people say, oh, what's your guilty pleasure for music? I don't have one. I just kind of like what I like. And I think that I would encourage people to be that way. Just like what you like. And you will, if you feel alone in it at first, eventually people will gravitate towards you that like the same things. I found that. Or I'm so passionate about fragrance. Now my friends are passionate about it too and can talk with me about it. And so I think it can be inspiring to certain people. Like people are intrigued by how passionate you are, and it kind of piques their curiosity as well. So you're always going to have people that don't get it, they don't understand, but there's always people out there that can kind of identify with what you are passionate about. And you just gotta, I'm trying to put this in an articulate and like philosophical way, and it's hard for me right now, but just like what you like.
So
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, it's people that are genuinely, like in high school and middle school, for example, those people that you're around that might make fun of you for the things that you like, guess what? In 5 years, you're not going to remember their name. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I can't remember anybody from middle school, hardly. I might be like Facebook friends with some of them, but like, just be who you are. And in 10 years time, when you're out of middle school and out of high school and all that, you're not going to remember the people that didn't take what you thought was good and identify with it. Maybe they made fun of you for it. It's not going to matter in a very short amount of time. So just be who you are and enjoy the things you enjoy.
So
I think it's important.
I love it. My big takeaway from that is life is too short not to like what you like. Just go ahead and like it.
It really is.
Man, I appreciate your time today. Any like last quick thought? If not, all good.
Yeah, I want people to just be who they are. Like, and I know that sounds so like, almost, what is the word? I'm blanking at this point.
Cliche?
Kind of cliche or pretentious even.
Mm.
To me, like my faith is the cornerstone of my life, so it's, for me, it's within that. It's being who I am and being who I feel like God has called me to be, but just being unashamed by that. Do you know what I mean? Not being ashamed to, if you feel like you're passionate about something, maybe it's for a reason, and don't be ashamed of it. That's what I would say, because it's so easy, especially middle school, high school, even college age. Man, people care too much about what other people think. Yeah, that's what I think.
So good, man. I appreciate it.
Bro,
appreciate your time
today. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see you.
All good, man. You too. Stay safe.
Yes, likewise.
My favorite part of that conversation is that life is too short not to like what you love. Life is too short to have guilty pleasures. Unashamedly love what you love. I also loved what John said about hard work. Time is going to pass by anyway, so you may as well spend it learning something that you love. When you look back in 5, 10 years, or maybe even 6 months, will you have learned something new? Will you have grown? Will you have adapted? And will you be on a path to a better future? Guys, if you're enjoying these conversations, please like, subscribe, and share. Have a great day.
Hi, you still watching? You must have something better to do by now. Seriously though, thanks so much for watching today's episode from Inc. Remember, we all have those days where you feel like you don't matter. Everything's going wrong and no one is there to listen or relate. But here at Inc., you do matter. Remember, here you're included in something. You're part of a community where you are included. We want to inspire your future and bring a little bit of hope to your day. And before we wrap up, please do subscribe and stay connected to Inc. so we can continue to give you content that delivers a little bit of hope. See ya.